Tune into Nice Radio every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on NiceRadio for A View from the Outside.
This society needs a spectacle. It might help us to see some evil. This society needs a spectacle.
Yeah, Brereton Horne has got a whole lot of great information as you take a view from the outside. A view from the inside, we see that the Windrush Generation, they're saying, and many of my friends are of the Windrush Generation who have been denied the renewal of passport and other services. That's in the news. And there was Friday's summit between the leaders of North and South Korea. This was a historic meeting paving the way for the start of a new era, North Korea's media say. The North Korea's Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in of South Korea agreed to work to rid the peninsula of nuclear weapons. Some of the stories we're looking at from the inside out. Let's see what Brereton Horne has got for us. Brereton, good morning.
Good morning to you, Randy. I understand you're standing in for Justin Douglas.
Yes, I'm just sitting in.
How are you?
doing good.
Good morning to you. It's so good to hear you.
I'm doing good.
Yes, I noticed that you definitely have your view from your inside on the outside very well wrapped up. Yeah, the news as you have outlined it there in brief is as it is really. Just to expand a little bit on the Windrush issue which you mentioned. The government here, the Conservative government, Theresa May's government, is making every effort now to rectify that situation. And hopefully most of the people, all of the people in fact, who are caught up with that predicament, we hope that that it will be sorted quite soon. So yes, you're right. People have been denied, entry back into the UK. Those who have visited, left the UK to visit for one reason or the other, have been denied entry back into the UK. People have been threatened with deportation. People have actually been in deportation centers awaiting deportation. But we understand that it is being sorted. Let's watch and see what happens. And if it is not, I'm sure we'll be speaking about it at some later stage.
A friend of mine said that most of them have taken up citizenship in whatever country they live in, Canada, the USA. The friend said, for the first 37 years of my life, I carried a British passport. It was rudely cancelled by the British Chartered Affairs Office on 53rd Street here in New York 28 years ago. My children born in Britain will suffer the same fate if they were dependent on it. But they are not. Some of the feedback we're getting.
Yes, I mean, Randy, the stories are heartbreaking. And, if you listen to the news here, you watch television here in this country, these stories are heartbreaking. And one of the things I'll say, though, is that the voice of the authorities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the issue seems to be missing, if not missing totally, if it is there at all. I have heard nothing from the authorities on it. I'm not saying that they haven't spoken. I have heard nothing. And I think that is one of the things which really stands out, that this is an issue where leadership is required. And it is an issue which I have no doubt affects Vincentians, because I have seen Vincentians on the news here who are speaking about the way they have been affected by this whole immigration policy which the government has implemented and has affected them so badly. But as far as St. Vincent and the Grenadines is concerned, I have not heard much. I have not heard anything, in fact. And therefore, I say the voice seems to be lacking, and something definitely needs to be done from that end. Randy, let me say good morning to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to all of our listeners wherever they are. It's not. I can't brag this week and say that I envy your weather. I don't know what it's like because you haven't told me. But we're having a very rainy, cloudy morning. temperature is not what it could be. It's only 9 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 49 degrees Fahrenheit. So, there's where we are.
We've got a good look in there here, Brereton. What I can brag about is that this morning I walked up the hill. I tried last week. I didn't I didn't say much about it last week. I made half the way last week. But this morning I made sure that I got up to the top of the hill. So I'm feeling good. We got
Very good.
We got 25.8 degrees Celsius, and it looks like a pretty good day, mostly cloudy and breezy with a few scattered showers.
In that case, I'm envious, and it seems as if you have now reacclimatized, so you can make the hill again. I'm so pleased for you.
Get in there, get in there.
Well done, Randy. Right, on a view from the outside this week being the 28th of April, 2018, we focus on pensions, 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 with the view being that Vincentians need to take a stand and speak out to protect their pensions. The issue of pensions is a serious matter, as it is a mechanism to protect the future of those who are entitled to it. In recent times, the pensions of Vincentians have come under attack as the government has proposed to reform the pension system in the country. As a result of such proposal, there is a great deal of uncertainty on the issue. The Oxford Dictionary defines pensions as a regular payment made by a state or an investment fund to people off or above the official retirement age, from which those people have contributed during their working life. It is important to note that in some countries, St. Vincent and the Grenadines included, there are non-contributory pensions, that is, pensions for persons who attain a particular age, usually 60, who have not contributed to the pension fund, anything to the pension fund. In the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it is that pension which the current government is trying to take away. If that consolidated fund pension is removed, the proposal by the government is to have the NIS pension paid from the age of 64. And that is to bear in mind that some public servants retire at age 55. And that means that they have to wait, those people will have to wait for 9 years, until they're age 64 if they retire at 55, before they receive a pension. The Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines protects the right of Vincentians to a pension. It does so in Chapter 6, Part 5, entitled Pensions for Vincentians, and therefore a protected right for citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is what the Constitution has given, a protected right. Therefore, any attempt by anyone or any institution, government or otherwise, to interfere with the right of Vincentians to receive a pension should be fiercely resisted. At present, most persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are entitled to receive two pensions: a pension from the consolidated fund or the government if they were a public servant, and a national insurance service pension, which they contribute to. In recent plans by the Unity Labour Party government, the ULP, to reform pensions in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they have proposed to change the way pensions are paid in St. Vincent and the Grenadines by removing the consolidated fund pension, which means the public servants will only receive a pension from the NIS, which is the National Insurance Service or Scheme. It is believed that it is a dangerous prospect, since pensions from the NIS are based on contributions made during the working life of the pensioner. The reality is that the pension one will receive from the NIS may not be enough to sustain a person during retirement. A person who does not make the required 500 weekly contributions will not receive a full pension under the current system. And of course, that has the potential to affect many persons, especially those who break service, get study leave without pay, or not worked for a significant period of time and are or were unable to contribute the required number of weekly payments. It is worth noting that this is not the first time that attempts are made by a government to interfere with the pension of citizens in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In the late 1990s, the New Democratic Party, NDP government, passed legislation to remove the consolidated fund pensions for persons who became public servants after 1983. This was vigorously resisted by public servants in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who saw the need to protect and ensure their future by protecting their state pensions. As a result of such resistance, the legislation was repealed. We, on A View from the Outside, believe that the attitude of Vincentians towards the current proposed changes should not be any different today. Therefore, any attempt by the ULP government to remove the state pension of public servants in St. Vincent and the Grenadines should be just as ferociously resisted. It must not be allowed. Any argument or suggestion by the ULP that the decision to do so is as a result of the state of the world's economy, or more specifically, the Vincentian economy, should be rebutted, since they are the ones who many believe has mismanaged the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the last 17 years. Many believe that they are the ones to blame for the poor state of the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And therefore, public servants and others should not be forced to have their futures adversely affected because of what is perceived as the economic mismanagement and carelessness of the ULP government or any other government. The questions asked are, why should Vincentians who have toiled for years for the state be made to suffer during their retirement? How sustainable is the NIS? Is a NIS pension really guaranteed? What is the financial state of the NIS? In all of this, it should not be forgotten, or put another way, Vincentians must remember not to forget that the ULP government was indebted to the NIS in the sum of 15 million Eastern Caribbean dollars for contributions which they did not pay over to the NIS. Contributions which they deducted from salaries of public servants in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and which they disingenuously never paid over to the NIS. Remember too, not to forget, that on the 19th of August 2014, the ULP government passed a resolution in the Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to raise 15 million EC dollars as a loan to pay from the NIS to pay the NIS. So they raised that loan from the NIS to pay back the NIS. Many believe that that action was a most preposterous one. Many question whether since 1984 the government is in fact making regular payments to the NIS. Many question whether they are deducting contributions from public servants and not paying it into the NIS? The answer simply is unknown. And because of that, the security of the NIS fund is questionable. And so, in that state of uncertainty, in such state of uncertainty, to hinge the future of thousands of Vincentians solely on the NIS pension is extremely dangerous. All of that is compounded by the fact that financial accountability is not a quality of the ULP government. And that leaves Vincentians in a state of uncertainty. Therefore, we, on a view from the outside, believe that it is imperative that all public servants and other workers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines pay attention to the issue of pension reform as proposed by the ULP government. The issue should not be swept under the carpet or be allowed to drift under the radar. Whilst it may not be of immediate concern to many of you who are nowhere near retiring or not yet receiving a pension, it is a matter which demands close attention and consideration because it will affect the future livelihood of all Vincentians. All trade unions and other bodies who represent public servants and other workers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines should pay close attention to the issue. The same fervor with which the matter was resisted in 2000 should be repeated now. In fact, the desire to resist should be even more heightened now, as pension reform was one of the many issues which contributed to ushering in the Unity Labour Party government in 2001. Ironically, the very Labour government, which came to office on the backs of the working people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is now attempting to break those backs and treat public servants with contempt by trying to do exactly what they encouraged them to resist in 2000. Quite conveniently, they are now feeling the pressure of managing the pension system, which they, by their poor fiscal management, has no doubt contributed to. The great Chinese teacher, politician, and philosopher Confucius, in his work, The Wisdom of Confucius, said, "A man who does not plan long ahead will find trouble at his door." Your pension is your life. It's your future. You should plan now. Planning for it includes resisting any attempt to restrict or remove it. Do not allow anyone who has ensured their own pension, who has ensured that their own pension is secured, to limit or affect your ability to receive one. We, on a view from the outside, now encourage all Vincentians to pay attention to the future of your pensions. We encourage you to ask questions. We encourage you to make inquiries and engage in the national conversation. You do not want to look back with regret in your wisdom years when trouble is at your door. Until next week, Randy and all the listeners, this is Brereton Horne with a view from the outside, and encouraging all listeners to send feedback, as you do, to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. That's aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. Randy, have a very pleasant Saturday, have a beautiful Sunday, and have a wonderful week ahead. And just to let you know, there's a surprise for you next week. So I won't say what it is, but there's a surprise next week. All the best to you and all the listeners.
Thank you. Thank you very much.